The robots are in the gym. We ask for the participating students to meet with me. Everyone else that's there is off to the side. I give those students a set of instructions. We have a review form, and then those students go and check each robot one at a time. The student who was on the review team that represents that particular school that's being evaluated has to be able to answer the questions about where the parts came from. What did you use to do this? I count 6, whatever, you're only allowed 4. Why is that? Where did that come from? When that student can't answer those questions, that issue becomes a violation, and until that violation is corrected, you cannot compete in the competition for points. Again, we will at the end of the day allow you to compete so the children, the students get a chance to use their robot, but you will not earn points if you didn't follow the rules. So if before, when we said that the robot can be 27.5 inches, I will guarantee you more than half of the students will have tape measures, and they will measure your robot, and when it's at 27 7/8, you're not going to pass the inspection. And it may be very simple to bend a piece of metal, adjust the screw to get under the 27.5, but it may not be. And your robot design may depend on that. Again, you didn't follow that rule, those students picked it up as a violation, and until it's corrected, you cannot compete for points. So this is very important. We've had years where teams have totally disregarded the manual, built whatever they wanted, and there was no way that they could compete for points because it was just, it was just something that wasn't even close to what it should have been in terms of following the manual. So again, you're going to have one of your students that sleeps and eats this manual, and he's going to be the guy that you send out, or the girl that you send out for the team review, and he's going to pay special attention, he's going to pay special attention to all those details. The number of sprockets, the number of motors, how you wired it, what you use, the types of materials. It's all going to be questioned. Now, on the flip side to that is, if you did something you weren't supposed to do, and those students did not pick up on it, you basically get away with it, okay? We are not going to go back and re-review everyone's robot after the fact. Those students are representing your school. It's their decisions, it's their say on what's in front of them. And if for some reason you had one more motor and none of, let's say there's a dozen teams that are competing, and 11 of those students, because the one is for that team, reviewed that robot for 15-20 minutes, and none of them could count to 11, they signed off on it, it's good. We do offer time that evening as well as the next morning to make changes if you have to make changes in order to correct the items. At some point before the competition starts on Tuesday morning, the advisor will come to me and say, we've made the corrections, could you please review? Then I will go over and look at the list of violations, check it against what corrections you made, and sign off, hopefully sign off that you can compete for points. Again, because all the schools are involved in this, there is a penalty if you don't show up for team review. Now, in terms of the robotic kits, again, as I mentioned when I started, this is a Tetrix NXT Mindstorm Endeavor. So here are your basic kit parts. This is a very good starting point. Many of you have much many more parts than this. Again, as long as it's a legitimate Tetrix part, you can use it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a wealth of parts out there, different types of gears and wheels, excuse me. And as long as it's a Tetrix part, and you can identify it as such, and you should keep that information just in case it questions. And again, I tell all the teams, my job here at the college really has nothing to do with robotics. I'm not sure how I got involved in this, but I've been doing it for 16 years. So my real job is I'm the vice president of facilities. So my job is 24/7. So I tell everybody, call or email. If you have a question, you're working on a Saturday or whatever, call or email. Most likely, I will see it, I will hear it, I will get it, I will respond. Don't question, question a questionable part. If you're not sure if you should use this, you need to question it and make sure, because you don't want to find out on team review that the sprockets that you bought from somewhere are not actually Tetrix parts. Because again, those kids, your fellow students at the team review, will, I know that catalog. I didn't see that part. What is the part number? And they'll all take out their smartphones and they'll all look it up, and they'll find that it's not what you thought it was. And the same thing goes for, we scroll down real quick to the additional hardware list, okay? A half-inch PVC pipe is just that. It's half-inch PVC pipe. It's not half-inch tubing, it's not half-inch this, it's not half-inch that. That's what it is. Quarter-inch plywood is quarter-inch plywood, okay? I have a piece of something else, it's not going to fly. They're going to pick it up, and it's going to get flagged. Again, something comes up on this, we can, if we know about it ahead of time, we can make a decision, and then we can share that decision with the other teams so everybody is aware. We also allow, up until I think it's the second progress report, you can request items to be added to the additional hardware list. So you would write me an email, or a student would write me an email indicating that, we would like to request that such and such be added to the additional hardware list. If I see it as a reasonable request that I think that all the schools could reasonably obtain these items that you want to use, I generally approve it, and then I send an email out. We send an email out to everybody letting them know that you can now use X. If that doesn't happen, this list is not modified. Again, we don't, it always happens 3 weeks before the competition, 2 weeks before the competition. So in my mind, that time frame, your design really needs to be set, and you're working on getting it complete and operating it. I am not going to accept a request 2 weeks, a week before, that, oh, can we add X to the hardware list? Well, it's not fair to everybody else who's designed without it, whether or not they needed it or not. So again, that's why there's a deadline in there. So again, pace yourself, set the time, keep your students motivated, and work through this in a steady pace so that you know what you're doing, and by the time that second progress report is done, you know whether or not you need to ask for any additional materials to see if they can get added or improved to the list. Safety, again, just keep everybody safety, protective eyewear when they're working on it, be careful with the electrical wiring. Now, science and technology presentations. This is where our competition really comes in and ties in, what we see as the educational component, which is your students, a group of your students, now take their robot and explain why they built it, how they built it, to a group of science and technology professionals from the college. They will be quizzed about, why they chose certain designs. They will be quizzed about how well is it performing. They will be quizzed about many things related to that robot. This is not a walk in the park. The people that we choose from the college some of them are administrators, many of them are professors. They take this very seriously. They really want to see that there's an educational piece to this. We know it's fun, okay? All the students have fun usually with robotics and making things come alive and working with tools and parts. But there is science behind that, and there is math behind it. And they will pry to your students to see if they understand the science and math behind that. So these are rigorous examinations of the robots, and more so the students and the process throughout. Many teams do PowerPoints. We encourage PowerPoints that they can do a presentation to start with and explain everything. But they need to be, the 3 to 5 team members that you put out there need to be well versed in what your team did and how that robot works. Many times, they're asked a question and, well, that's what Billy said. That's how Billy said to build it. That's not what they want to hear. Mr. Smith said we needed that 5th wheel. Okay, but why? And they can't answer that. So that comes, and typically the presentations are very good, but we definitely usually do see gaps in terms of the scoring of the final presentations. You see a bunch of schools that took it extremely serious and did a really well presentation, and their students were very knowledgeable on the process and what they did, and those scores are up here, and then the other group of scores are sort of down here. Occasionally we have a score that's down here, and that's not really good. But again, this is so, we are a college, this is an educational opportunity, and we feel this is an important piece of the competition.
And I will provide you with the rubric that we use, the guidelines that we use, the different categories that each robot will be judged, because all the judges will use this same use all these same criteria in evaluating all the robots. So we will make sure you have that ahead of time so that the students are not surprised that we know that the robot was going to be judged in this particular area. It's going to be black and white, so you know what to expect.
Yes. And we do give out a lot of trophies. We don't give out, not everybody's going to walk away with trophies, and some teams walk away with multiple trophies. But I know everybody likes to win something, and your students are going to put a lot of work into this. You advisors, you're new to this. This is a good challenge. This is going to test your patience with your students and pushing them and getting them to keep this going. We believe the time frame that we give is quite large compared to most competitions of this nature. But again, it is something that you have to stay focused and keep your students moving on. And it's good to have some recognition. So we do offer, I think we have a total of 16 different trophies that the teams can win, ranging from obviously the overall champions, first, second, and third in all of the events. And then we do a best of show, we do a school spirit award, and a sportsmanship award. So our timeline looks like official kickoff is today. That's what this meeting is. Progress report number 1 is due on the 9th. Progress report March 9th. Progress report number 2 is due on March 29th. That's also the additional hardware deadline. April 18th is progress report number 3. May 2nd is a roster deadline. So what happens is Tom Van Aken is gracious and works hard and puts together a nice program for this event. And in that program, your teams are listed, your school information is listed, and your students are listed. So we use that information. So to be included in that, you need to get that information into him by that date. May 8th, the robots are delivered to the college, anytime around 4 o'clock. Team review starts promptly at 4:30. Anytime at 6:30, from 6:30 on, it takes usually about that long to get through the robots, depending on how many they are participating. Team review repairs. Anybody that has a violation can start working on it at that point. First day of competition is May 9th. Sorry about that. My secretary retired in at the end of December, and we have not yet replaced her yet. So all the calls are forwarded to me. Okay, so the first day of competition is 9 o'clock. We try to get off pretty well close to 9. Second day of competition is that Thursday again at 9, and then usually by noon, 1 o'clock, we can do the award ceremony, and then if needed, we have a post-event meeting, and that's where we try to get feedback from the advisors on the whole process and what we can do to try and make it or make changes for the following year. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Our contact information is on the back here, and that's it. So any other questions? Any questions to the events, to college? Yes.
Questions on what students or what we use that's available in our schools. For example, we have welders, we have 3D printers, all this kind of equipment. Are we able to take it out?
Yes. If it's normally available to students, yes. Yes. Yep. Yes.
Last year, I think we had a sensor was involved. Looks like there's no call for a sensing device.
Correct. Yeah, the last year the event was color specific. So I believe that was the pharmacy challenge. You had to use that sensor, program it back to your controller, your laptop, so that when it read a color that was hidden from the operator would understand what color that was, and then went and picked the right color medicine. But we don't need that this year. That's not required. Yes.
Did you put a PDF form of the manual online?
Yes, yes, it will be sent out probably on Monday or Tuesday that's why, again, we collect everybody's email. Yeah, the PDF of the manual will absolutely go out, and you can share it as many times as you like. Yeah.
Just about the gutter challenge, are you going to be able to see anything inside the gutter, or are you going in blind? So
well, okay, so obviously, speaking average height individuals, you probably can see into the 2-foot gutter. You probably could see into the 4-foot gutter. You probably can't see into the 6-foot gutter, but if you look at the manual, there are ways around that. Okay? Any other questions? Comments? Concerns? Again, don't hesitate to ask. Shoot us an email. Make a phone call. Again, the worst thing is when the students huddle around that robot and just start rattling off, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It makes for a really tough couple of days. So you really want to follow that. Follow the manual. And again, if there's a question, just ask. If there's no other questions, Tom, Dennis, anything else? Are we all good?
Nothing I can think of.
Yes. Yeah, it's the Tetrix-based kits that uses either there's 2 operating platforms. the Mindstorms or the EV2? EV3, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's either the NXT or the EV3 Mindstorms, two different models. It's basically, one was the original and one was the upgrade. Some schools like the other ones, some schools don't have enough money to buy the upgrade, so they use the old one. Doesn't seem to be an advantage one way or another that we've found. It's a lot, in some aspects from the competitions that you were involved in years ago with us, it's easier because of the Tetrix kit component of it. You know, so more of a erector set, if you will, versus many years ago when we first started, we gave you a big box of parts, but nothing to make those parts connect to each other, and you were responsible to develop that off of a similar additional hardware list. So it was a much different competition. This makes it a little bit easier using the Tetrix kits. Many schools, many students, even whether it's with the school or on their own, are familiar with these kits from other competitions or just physics labs type environments where they've had these kits at the schools to do different things. So that's kind of made it a little bit easier. And it also has allowed us to bring the cost down. I mean, we used to charge thousands of dollars when we first started. And, you know, now it's basically $200 just to, you know, and even that we're refunding it if you make, basically, if you make the effort, we're going to refund that money. Any other questions? Yes.
Any talk of going from Bluetooth to perhaps Wi-Fi using the Samantha? We have a lot of trouble with our Bluetooth when we're running multiple robots, but we find that Samantha with the Wi-Fi works much better.
We haven't looked at that. At this point, it's probably not where we would make that change, but that's something that we could consider for next year if that becomes an issue. We really have, here we really haven't had a lot of Bluetooth issues. When we were using some of the first style controllers, the different radio frequency controllers, some of the stuff based on like your RC cars and things like that, we did run into some problems. The problems really have been few and far between when we switched to the Bluetooth. And you'll notice in here that we ask you, once you set your platform and name your Bluetooth, that to send that information to Tom Van Aken, just so that we know that, you know, somebody wants, you know, school robot, you know, but then somebody else says school robot. So when Tom sees that if there's two Bluetooths that are named the same, we want to address that ahead of time. But we really haven't had a big issue with that.
Thank you.
Yes?
How many teams compete?
That's a good question. We don't really know until the day of competition. Some years we've had as few as 6 to 8. Other years we've had 12 to 15. You know, we usually get somewhere between 10 and 15 that sign up and start. Some teams don't make it. They were not able to do it for whatever reasons, and they either bail out ahead of time or that Monday they just don't show up. And but we can pretty much accommodate you know, as many people that want to do it. In some cases, we've built double courts because we've had enough teams that we want to try and get the events completed within that window of time of the school day. You know, if we have a lot of teams, we will build multiple courts. So there could be 2 rain gutter courts and 2 turn the knob courts if we look at the volume and we need it. If we don't need it, we'll just run, you know, a single court each. But we absolutely, in the past, when we've had more schools involved, definitely set up multiple courts.
Yeah, part of my challenge is definitely getting them out of school for 2 days. That's not easy. As a opposed to the weekend competition robotics?
I mean, that's the first, I mean, again, we've been doing this for 16 years, that's the first that I've heard about it. The only other real conflict that we've had on occasion is with AP testing. Some schools with AP testing on given days.
Bad time of the year.
And they sort of balance that out. I know we did talk about moving the competition, but we didn't really get a lot of feedback when we sent that out. Now I think you're new. I don't recognize you.
I'm not even sure my team's gonna do that.
Okay.
So, but that would be my biggest challenge, is going back to the superintendent and saying, hey, by the way, I need my kids for 2 extra days.
Right.
So, when we've had tours of manufacturing facilities for just an hour and a half, that they would miss school on a delayed opening type day, and it's been denied because they've been missing classes. So it's changed in 16 years.
Things do.
They do, better or worse, they change.
Right. Let's
Yeah,
of course,
no.
we know these things. so.
There you go. Because I think it's a valuable competition.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't,
No, you can't do anything this year.
again, right, for this year, we can't, there could be other days, in the future that we could run it on.
You got the stuff.
What's that?
You've got the stuff.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's, again, that's more of a question for Tom and Dennis and perhaps Carlo to work on with the schools for the future or something else. Again, I'm asked to sort of put this together.
No, it's awesome, it's awesome, it's just.
Yeah, no,
It's just a
there's,
question.
I get it, there's always challenges, but yeah, that's where we are now, but that doesn't mean that it has to stay that way.
I'd like to speak to that if I could, just because we have the same issue in our school district with the fact that I'll have to take students out for 3 days and getting buses and the dates and for me. And if that is the case, I will document that and forward it to you. But for me, it's going to be a challenge I'm going to present to the school district. You say you want us to step it up and bring in the STEM and step up the programs in the school. So now I challenge you that I want to do this. So now it's up to you to step up to the plate and allow us to do this. That's the approach that I'm going to take with my school district, because I'm going to have that problem.
Right, I mean, we have a robotics team. They do first, they do FTC. They have no problem doing another robot. They love building. That would be awesome to do a challenge like this where, granted, we're going back to robot C language, which, might have a few of them switching a little bit instead of Java. But, what a great opportunity for them to be able to use both languages in a given school year. So that all my team members, when they graduate, have an understanding.
Well, there's another opportunity here also. You know how wonderful FIRST is, but FIRST is big and complicated and at another level. Here, this opens it up to a wider audience, and this is really even like a theater. And we think there's real value to this.
Oh, without a doubt, I think it's real,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking to see if it can happen on a weekend.
Yeah, of course,
Because I
yeah.
see the value.
So we can certainly input that and work with you for the future, but could we be your voice this time around? If there's something we could do to be your voice to these schools, we have connections to those schools, and we can certainly be out there working for you on that particular request to the best of our ability. Let us know how we can do that, and we'll do whatever is possible. And the other thing is, this year, that's a little different, is we engaged Carlo to be a detailer for you. He's not the technical detailer, he's not gonna answer your questions, those questions are gonna be forwarded to Brian to qualify, but he's there, and it's our goal here to make everyone successful here. We wanna get that $200 back in your hands, and that's our kind of little incentive. If we don't want it, you keep it, but we do want to incentivize you to, be involved, engage yourself, and then be there and do the best you can, because that's the experience is the whole thing, and you know that.
I know that, and
So-
giving kids a whole different toolbox to play in is
Absolutely.
awesome.
I mean, the experience is the whole thing. The competition, of course, is the fun part, and
Yeah.
yes, you get the accolades, but the doing, the building, the being here. The Natsuko guys, they've been through this in these last 5 weeks. It's been a struggle, and that learning is the whole thing. So we're here as a team member. We want to do whatever we can to help you guys, for any reason. Okay, please lean on us. And Carlo will be bugging me, he's real good at that, but he's nice.
Yeah, and going forward, I mean, again, on any given weekend, the college could work something out to move the competition to a Saturday or something like that, maybe one day during a week and a second day on a Saturday or something like that. This particular time frame is it's sort of particularly difficult for us. I would love to move it only because May for facilities in a college is one of our busiest months. We start the month off with our largest foundation fundraiser, and that moves into our nursing graduation, which moves into robotics, which then moves into graduation. So that's what my 4 weeks of May look like. So I have no issue moving it. It's just a matter of finding the right mix of when to do it. That really works for the schools. And that's, again, we're fairly flexible on our end. Had we known that sooner, again, this is the first time that's come up about. We've had questions in the past with the AP exams, and a lot of that's been able to be worked out where students would come on one day or not come on the other day and do what they have to do with that scheduling. But this is really the first time where he talked about taking the kids out of school for 2 days and whether or not that was going to be a question or not. That's really the first time that in itself has been raised.